Hello and welcome to Harpening. Today is the fourth video of the month, so that means we're doing improvisation and composition. I'm still on the improvisation part like I was the last few weeks. Maybe in a few months I'll also do some composition, but for now we're doing improvisation. Today I would like to give you a little trick to improvising, and that is setting yourself limitations. One of the things that happen when you start improvising is that people tell you, oh, just go ahead and play something on your harp. But that can be very daunting because if you've never played any notes without having sheet music there or without somebody telling you what to do, it can be very confusing. What am I going to start with? How am I even, making music if I don't know what notes to play or which rhythm to have? So in order to do a nice improvisation and to start learning how to improvise, it's good to tell yourself that you have some limitations on the improvisation that you're doing. So today we're going to start doing more free improvisations, not within the structure of a tune, but we're going to set ourselves some limitations. The first limitation that you can give yourself is a limitation of which strings to use when you're improvising. What you can do is start with only one string. So let's do that and see how we can improvise on one string. As you can see, I've put my harp in C, so the A, B and E levers are up. And I'm going to tell myself to only use the F. Let's see which I like. I kind of like this low F because it has a nice ring to it. If I'm going to do an improvisation on F, let's see what sound the string makes. So the F string. For now, I'll start with just plucking it and see how long it keeps ringing. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's still going on. I can still hear it. Let's do it again. So I know that it can make a nice long ringing tone. The other thing I might want to try is to make it short. I can do just reasonably short, or I can do really short, or I can use two hands. That was really short. You can still hear the whole harp ringing, but the F itself is already gone. I've experimented with a long note, short notes. I know that I can make notes in between, so I'll start with an improvisation on this F string, doing shorter and longer notes, however I feel like. That was a short improvisation. What you maybe noticed is that I'm not actually only doing how long a note is. Maybe you've noticed already, but I'm also doing how loud I play the string. You can play it loud or soft, and that also makes for one of the things that you can control. You can tell yourself, I'm only going to play really softly, only going to play loud, or I'm just actually going to do extremes. I'm going to do soft, loud, or go from soft sound to very loud and make an improvisation that way. It may seem a bit weird in the beginning to only do one string. The good thing about doing this is that it will get you to know your instrument better and maybe even to have some time to work on your tone quality. The next step to doing an improvisation on only one string is to see if there's any other sounds that you can get out of that one string. Because we've only now plucked it like we would normally do. Maybe there's some other ideas that you could use. One of the things you can do is to use harmonics or flageolet tones. So that is putting your hand on the string halfway through and playing it, and then it sounds an octave higher. It's the same string, but it's sounding an octave higher. I'm doing it with the right hand here because in my experience that's easier to do when I want to play the string and then change to flageolet quickly. If you want some instructional videos on playing the flageolet, I'll try and put some links in the downloads below. There's good instructional videos, and I don't think that right now is the time to get into that. So if you want to know how to do it, check the links below. You can do an improvisation on that with normal string, flageolet. In this improvisation, I put some rhythm elements in there that I played normally and then as a flageolet, as a sort of echo on flageolet. So that is a nice improvisation to try. Play a rhythm and see if you can repeat the exact same rhythm. There's more things that I can do with the string. I have a lever here that I can use in order to see if I can change the tone quality. So the other thing that you can do is play xylo sound, which is, I'm going to demonstrate here on a top string because you can hardly see where I'm doing that if I do it on low string. But it's putting one finger of the one hand below at the bottom of the string and then playing the string. So it gets a really short sound like a xylophone. That would be what it sounds like when I'm playing this on that F. There's more things you can do. You can play your string with a nail. You could put your nail against it and play it. Maybe not such a nice sound, but if you're going for something that is a bit scratchy to the ears, then that would work in your improvisation. So why would you want to limit yourself and only use one string in the improvisation? Well, by setting this limitation, you're actually having to be more creative to get more ideas, more sounds out of your harp. If I tell you just play something on your harp, first of all, that is going to give you an overwhelming amount of choice that you can use. And it's going to actually maybe limit your creativity because the first thing you're going to think of is actually playing something, maybe a nice chord. But what am I going to do after that? By limiting yourself and maybe using only the one string, you're going to have to come up with creative ways to keep your attention and to make it interesting for yourself. This is all meant as an exercise. If you wanted to, you could also use this as an intro to a song or as a general improvisation intro. The idea is by limiting yourself, you're giving yourself new creative ways of thinking. So once you've exhausted all your possibilities on this one string, you might want to add a string. If you add another string, all of a sudden you have a world of new abilities because you're adding another string. When you add a string to your improvisation, you could do the string an octave higher, but you could also use a string out of a chord. For instance, if you're doing the F as your bass string. If you go 2 above that, you would have an A. That sounds nice. Or if you go 2 below that, that sounds good as well. That's using a third, which is the distance of 2 strings with 1 string in between. Now, if you want to make your improvisation a bit more scratchy, you could use a second, which is the string next to it. Doesn't even have to sound all that scratchy. I thought that sounded quite nice. By limiting your strings, limiting the tones that you're using, you're giving yourself more freedom to be creative. The other thing that you can do to limit your freedom is to give yourself a beat to improvise to. Whether that is a 3/4 bar, 4/4, 6/8, or even 5/8 or 7/8, it can give you creative ideas on rhythm. When you're adding a rhythm, the nice thing is that you can actually repeat that same rhythm. You've already heard me do that a bit while I was improvising. But if I'm doing 6/8, for instance, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One string, 6/8, and I'm repeating a rhythm that I created. The good thing about using this is that once you've trained your rhythm, you can also repeat that if you have more range on your improvisation. If you've given yourself more freedom on which strings to use, then you can build on the rhythm that you're using and repeat that in your improvisation. So for this month improvisation, I'm challenging you to do a 1-string improvisation. It'd be really nice if you felt like doing some improvisation and maybe recording yourself. You can upload it to your own page or maybe send it to me. I'd be glad to hear them. So let me know. So for this month, I'm challenging you to do a 1-string improvisation. And only when you're really, really sick of it, add some other strings. Limit yourself and get freedom through limitations. As usual, you know that you can subscribe to my channel down here on the subscribe button. You can also find me on Facebook as Anouk Harp and on Instagram as Anouk Harp. If you feel like you want to support me, then you can find Harpening on Patreon. The link is also in the description below. I've also made a worksheet with ideas on how to improvise on 1 string and what kind of sounds you can get out of the harp. If you don't want to practice with the YouTube video next to you, you can download that worksheet from harpening.com and put it next to you when you're playing the harp, maybe on your music stand, in order to have some ideas to improvise on the 1 string. Good luck with the improvisation, and I'll see you next week with a new cookie video. In the meantime, let me know what's happening in your life.